This is the rhythm of change. This is the sound of redemption. This is the way that we bring it down. Down, down, 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 down. Igniting the fire within you. Exalting the melody of freedom. These are the things that will bring it down. Down, down, 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 down. So gather the faithful. Tell everyone to stand and shout loud. Shout loud. Shout loud. Let's bring it down. Let's bring it way down. Let's bring it down. Let's bring it down, down. Let's bring it down. Let's bring it way down. Let's bring it down. Let's bring it down, down. Down, down, down.
Let me tell you, it's in the air. Joy is in the air. Love is in the air. Can you feel it? What it feel like? Freedom. What it feel like? Don't sleep on it, brother. You might get left, sister. Can you feel it? What it feel like? Freedom. What it feel like? Justice. No need to be counted, cause I am down. Down, down, down. Down, down, down. Down for the end of racism, for the end of bigotry, cause I am down. For the end of misogyny, that's right. For all the isms out there, just down, down, down. Let's bring it down. Rise up, people. No more foolishness, and let's bring it way down.
Riding the river of change into the cries of contrition. This is the way that we bring it down. Down, down, 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 down. We are the children of Eden, dancing and celebrating freedom. We are the ones that must bring it down. Down, down, 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 down. So gather the faithful. Tell everyone to stand and shout loud. Shout loud. Shout loud. Let's bring it down. Let's bring it way down. Let's bring it down. Let's bring it down, down. Let's bring it down. Let's bring it way down. Let's bring it down. We've got to bring it down. Down. Stand up and shout. Stand up and shout. Rise together.
Accountability starts now. The Eric Dawson Radio Show.
Yeah. Rise up. Stand up, shout it loud.
If you are not prepared to come to that table and to represent that voice, don't come. Because we don't need any more brown faces that don't want to be a brown voice. We don't need black faces that don't want to be a black voice. We don't need Muslims that don't want to be a Muslim voice. We don't need queers that don't want to be a queer voice. And if you're worried about being marginalized and stereotyped, please don't even show up.
So, good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
So, I want to read something to start today.
Okay.
Okay? All I want to say, and tell me who gets what this is. This is all a quote. All I want to say is they don't really care about us. Don't worry what people say. We know the truth. All I want to say is that they don't really care about us. Enough is enough of this garbage. All I want to say is that they don't really care about us. Skinhead, deadhead, everybody gone bad. Situation, aggravation, everybody, allegation. In the suit, on the news, everybody, dog food. Bang, bang, shot dead, everybody's gone mad. All I want to say is that they don't really care about us.
Michael Jackson.
All right? Beat me, hate me. You can never break me. Will me, thrill me. You can never kill me. Jew me, sue me. Everybody do me. Kick me, kike me. Don't you black or white me. All I want to say is that they don't really care about us.
Michael Jackson?
As Michael Jackson.
Yep.
You know, so it's kind of what, I mean, Mike said it, but it's what we've been saying, that they don't really care. Like, they make you believe they care, right? But when you look at it in its totality, like Michael said, they don't really care about us, right? And so when you're operating from that perspective, it keeps you grounded and it keeps you in the fight. Or at the very least, like James Baldwin says, you're conscious now. And so you're in a state of rage because you understand. Right? So they don't really care about us. Never have. And they never will. So I just, I was listening to that last night and I said, you know what? Hey, Vincent, I got a lot of feedback
From who?
on the phone from you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there we go. I just wanted to share that because, and you take time to listen to the song. I'm sure you've heard it before, all you guys, but listen to it again. Like, really, really listen to it, and listen to it in the context of today. In the context of today. As you're driving over the Black Lives Matter painted on the streets, as you're reminiscing about the words that were spoken during the presidential campaign about black folks, even as you read the Biden plan, on his website, right? Like, just listen to the lyrics, and tell me if they ring true to you. Anyway, welcome everybody. We've got some stuff to talk about today. And you see, I got my ADOS shirt on, and ADOS hat on, and I got my Cuba shirt on, right? So free my people, let my people go, all of them, all over the world. That's kind of where I am. Hey, Vincent, did you see, Diane sent me this, and today is Deidre Viney Day, and hopefully Deidre will call in, but until that time, I don't know why I hear my feedback. Do you have like a Bluetooth on where you're listening? So you can keep your however you're listening to the show, I can hear it. There we go. So you don't have to mute your mic. Just turn the volume down on whatever device you're listening. Diane sent in a something to me today, and I think I posted it. But it kind of gets the party started, right? Let's see if I can find it, guys. Bear with me. She posted, this is the headline from the Washington Times. Demand on Biden. Hispanic groups insist on Latino quota in his cabinet. Latino group insists, translation demands, a quota representation in his cabinet. Hey, Vincent, what did Fish Fry Clyburn say that Biden owed him?
Nothing.
Bam! Come on. Hey, listen, I'm going to be on this. Did the Hispanics raise Biden like Jesus raised Lazarus from the dead? Nope. They didn't do that, did they, Vincent? That was the black people in South Carolina. That was Fish Fry Clyburn, right? Not the Hispanics. But now, who has now leapfrogged to the front of the line? Hispanics demand a quota. Demand a quota. What if black people demanded?
Black people demanded a vice president. Black people demanded just equal justice. Black people demanded more relief with the housing, and they demanded that the money be fulfilled for things like the criminal justice and the HBCU.
Wait a minute, Vincent, no, black people didn't demand that. Vincent, see, you're so hopeful in terms of what you want black people to do. Black people didn't demand that. These are things that these candidates offered up. They weren't demanded. Who demanded them? They were offered. I grant you that it was part of the narrative during the election, but there were no demands made. Where did you see headlines that said, black people demand this?
Okay. Now, what I know about and which is not very much, what I knew about the Biden process, and one of his senior advisors, which we're hoping she'll get a cabinet position.
Hoping. Here that word is, hope. See, wait a minute. Listen to you. Hope she gets a cabinet position. Latinos say, we demand. Listen to your language. We hope she gets a cabinet position. The Hispanics demand. Go ahead. Keep going, though. Keep going with your hope. Come on, Vincent. Good morning, Diane. I'm going to help you keep your hope alive, Vincent. I'm going to resuscitate you. Come on. Tell me what you hope while I tell you what the Hispanics are demanding. Go ahead. I mean, this is hysterical. Listen.
They want 20% of those cabinets.
Hot damn. Diane, man ain't even been sworn in yet. We hoping, Diane. We hoping.
No. We listening to Fish Fry Clyburn. He told us we ain't getting nothing because we don't need
No, Vincent said, but we're hoping.
That's not what he said.
Vincent.
He said he owes me nothing.
He said he owes me nothing.
Right, same thing. You owe me nothing, so you're getting nothing. Thank you.
But come on, Vincent. Tell me what you hope. Come on, Vincent. What do you hope? What do you hope?
So, let's begin the business foreign policy roast program. Now, what Vincent Squire hopes, and Vincent Squire says hopes as in it should happen, but I don't know, so I can't say. But
you don't get to get to a disclaimer now. Before you said, read the website. Read the website. Biden said it's on the website.
that's what he said he was going to do.
You don't
That
no
is
disclaimer.
exactly what he said he's going to do. Now, I have hope and faith that he's going to fulfill those promises. However, none of those promises seem to touch the heart of the Hispanic community, who is now demanding. And see, here's the thing, in terms of, if you know anything about Joe Biden, the one thing you don't do is demand. Now,
Don't ask the master for nothing because you don't deserve it.
Wait a minute. Who don't? Wait, Vincent. Wait. Diane, I'm sorry. Who doesn't demand? There are people who are demanding right now.
yeah, now let's see what they get.
No. Okay. And I'm gonna tell. See, here's where the posture of the black man is again. See, we have learned that we can't demand. See, we can't look him in the eye. We got to look down, right? Because that's what we've been taught in the time that we've been.
I don't teach my kids to look down. But
you're saying,
Your mouth is such.
listen, what's coming out of your mouth, Vincent, is that we can't demand. Because, see, if you know, wait a minute, if you know.
No. We can't demand is not what's coming out of my mouth. So
That's what you just said.
it's very clear with the words that is coming out of his mouth. We can't demand is not.
Vincent, you
I
just.
said the one thing that you don't do with Joe Biden is demand.
Well, what's the difference? Okay,
Now,
see,
I
we.
understand.
Vincent,
Yeah.
see, we like,
No,
with
we're
you,
not.
we're like always like, we're always straining gnats.
Let me explain that.
Okay.
One of the things, like right now, you've got the progressives who are demanding, and it ain't happening. You've got those other things. The one thing that you don't do with Joe is give him ultimatums.
Wow.
He hasn't operated like that in Washington, and I don't think he's going to operate like that now.
I mean, listen, but I want you to hear yourself. We got Deidre on the show, so we may have to pause this, guys. But I certainly want to get back to this because I want you to understand.
It's so started. Keep going.
I'm sitting here with my ADOS hat on. I got on my free Cuba shirt on, right? And I got a guy on the radio with me saying that we can't demand or we shouldn't demand. If you know Joe Biden, you should take the posture of not demanding anything from him. And I'm saying to myself, wait a minute, let me finish and then you got it. So now, all these.
You want to give me? Would you like
But let me finish, and then you can say what you want to say. But what you're saying right now, let me finish, Vincent. What you're saying right now, on the heels, literally, the ink hasn't even dried yet. In terms of black people resurrecting this dead white man, and then black people coming out in droves to vote for this old white man. And now you're saying right now to these people, if you know him, don't demand anything. He came and said he can't do anything without you. But don't you dare have the courage to demand a goddamn thing from him. Meanwhile, Vincent, listen to yourself.
Now, I'm listening to myself, and I'm listening to the way you twist myself. Because
You're confused. Stop smoking that stuff, Vincent. It's messing with you down in Camden. The stuff.
No. We are not going to go into twist Vincent words. Now, if I could be so eloquent and gracious to finish,
Jody.
one thing that you do not do is demand from Joe. Joe is great at negotiating. He's great at being a pragmatist, but you don't demand. Now, he did put his lips every voice process, which addressed a great deal of the African American issues, or the descendant of slaves, or black, or whatever you choose to call yourself these days. Whatever it is, he has addressed that. Now, other people are now demanding of him. And it's going to go just like with the progressives. They've been demanding that Bernie Sanders get on the cabinet. It hasn't happened. They've been demanding that Susan Warren. It hasn't happened. Now the Latinos, who he hasn't got the bulk of their votes from, are now demanding that he does whatever they will.
So let me ask you a question.
Claiborne demanded a black woman for VP.
You tell me a seated president that actually, or a politician that actually adheres to every demand by every group.
No. We're not talking about every demand. See, I'm not going to absolutes with you. We're not going to do that. Nobody said every demand. I'm simply saying to you, so tell me, Vincent, when, I'm not going to say if, when the Hispanics get their cabinet picks, what is going to be your narrative about demanding?
When they get it, or if.
No. I'm saying they're going to. Listen.
I think it should be more of the narrative should be if.
No, you know why they're going to get it, Vincent? See, if you look at the election, and you look at how many Hispanics voted for Donald Trump, how many Hispanics, irrespective of the narrative that kept being pushed out there about the separation of children and parents, caged children, all of that, right? Look at the number of Hispanics that voted for Trump. Listen, Hispanics right now have a tremendous amount of leverage, right? And they're saying, hey, if you don't want to struggle with Hispanics in the midterms, Democrats, and if you don't want to struggle with Hispanics in 4 years, hot damn it, you better take care of this. That is what they're doing. Exactly
what they're doing.
I understand, but wait, let me finish, Vincent. So they're operating, they realize their power. When we talk about power, right? And I say to you that black people don't operate from power because we don't vote like that. We get Negro whisperers and slave catchers to get us to vote for their interests. See, these Hispanics voted their interests, and now they're coming and demanding based on their understanding of their power because we are powerless. Because we are powerless. We get people who say, oh, we can't demand because you got to know who Joe Biden is.
Well, let me say this to you, Eric. First and foremost, the narrative of we are powerless never comes from my mouth. I have been pushing the simple fact that we have power.
I said we don't.
No. Let me finish because I'll let you do your rant.
Stop and
Now, we're looking at a situation of this. We have now put into place and made some sort of agreement and reached the ear of Joe Biden in which he put it on before the election called Lift Every Voice, which takes care of a great deal of the needs of the black community.
Doesn't take care of anything.
Because of our power has gotten us there. It has not happened for the Hispanic community. So now they're at the point where they're going to say, we demand to get at least some of what the black people have gotten.
No, Vincent.
You want to sit up here and turn that narrative into now they're demanding because they're from a position of power. No. They're sitting up here coming Johnny-come-lately to the party and now saying, hey, we brought the ice, we want some drink.
Vincent, what I'm saying to you is this. You keep referring to this lift every voice thing, right? Those are words on paper, right? See, I don't want symbolic justice. See, that's symbolic justice. When they put words on paper or they put words on the street, that's symbolic justice, Vincent. I want real justice. I want tangible justice. So until he enacts something from that lift every voice thing, it ain't nothing but words on a piece of paper.
Well, Eric, would you please, before you condemn the man on his policies and his promises, could you please give him the courtesy of waiting till he gets inaugurated?
Vincent,
let's do that.
Listen, Vincent, but you know what?
Black people do.
Di-
Go and sit back and wait and hope and wish and
See, that's my point.
Maybe it'll happen for us.
That's where I am. See, Vincent, I'm operating from understanding how, what I say, they don't really care about us. And I'm operating from that perspective. 400 years of them not caring about us. And now in this one instance, this old white man, oh, he's different. And what I'm saying to you is this. I am suffering from all of the trauma that has been handed down to me through my ancestors. So when you say put all of that aside, Eric, and give this man a chance. You said give him a chance. You said give him a chance.
You said sit back and wait.
You said sit back and wait. You said don't demand. You said give him a chance, sit back and wait, don't demand. Those were your words. Sit back and wait.
And to be clear, Vincent, you also said before that the proper time to ask was not before the election too. That wasn't a time.
No, that's not what I said either.
You did too. We can run the tape then.
No, you can run every tape. And no. I've never said the proper time is not to ask before the election. I said no. Before the election is when all the deals are made.
What deal were made for black people?
More than likely how he got Clyburn on board. However, what I am saying to you is this. Now, everybody has been suffering for hundreds of years as our people. What I am saying to you is this. There is someone in place. There is a policy in place. What I'm saying is that we've been waiting for 400 years. Why don't we wait till the inauguration?
Oh,
How many days is that left? How many days do we have?
I don't know. Vincent, I'm tired. Look, I'm like Killer Mike. I'm tired of waiting.
Eric, you're like the kids. Once they see the Christmas presents under the tree, they want to open it. We can't wait for Christmas. Open the presents. Come on, wait. Wait and see.
Nobody else has to wait, but what we do. We got Mark on the phone. Mark, go. Oh, we have somebody.
Actually, Jody,
Oh, that's Jody. Oh, hey, Jody.
Hey, so I just want to know one thing, Eric. Why you mad at Biden? Because he won. That's why.
Wait.
No. This is what I mean. You should be mad at Biden. You should be mad at black folks.
Oh, no. Listen, I'm not mad at Biden. No, listen, Jody. I'm not mad at Biden. Let us be clear. I'm not mad at Joe Biden. Joe Biden is Joe Biden. Listen, it's like somebody being mad at a rattlesnake when the rattlesnake bites you. Rattlesnake gonna be a rattlesnake. It's gonna do what it does. I'm looking at Joe Biden. I'm going, Joe Biden gonna do what Joe Biden does. This is what I'm saying. I'm operating from 400 years of information. And I'm saying black people have been conditioned to do what they do. And I'm reading this headline where Hispanics demand black people wait. Hispanics demand black people wait. Hispanics don't get the narrative that, if you know Joe Biden, you don't demand. See, Hispanics say, no, I'm a demand because we're operating from a position of strength, right? Given the last election, given what Democrats want, given what they need in order to win the midterms and to win the White House again in 4 years, we're operating from a position of strength. We're black people.
Hispanics aren't operating from a position of strength. Look at the votes.
Wait a minute. You just said 3 minutes ago they were.
No, I didn't. No, I said, look at the voting record.
You're a liar, and you don't even know what you say because you lie so much.
No. See, here's the thing. See, I don't lie. That's why I know what I can say with 100% recall, because the truth never changes. However, and I'm going to say it again, so that you can hear it clearly. The Hispanics, if you look at the voting record, we're not all monolithic for Trump, for Biden, okay? And yet they're coming late to the party because they couldn't get it in because they were waiting for Trump to win. And now Trump lost, so now they're saying, well, some of us voted for you, we demand.
No, that's not what they're saying. No, Vincent, that is not what the Hispanics are saying. Listen, let us be clear. What the Hispanics are saying is this. No, we're not monolithic. No, you can't corral us like black people to come and vote one way. No, you can't depend on us like you can depend on black. Please mute your phone. You can't depend on black people like you depend on us like you depend on black people to happily just go and vote for you, even though you kick them in the shins every chance you get. No, we're going to vote our interests. And what we did is some of us voted for you and some of us voted for Trump. Now, if you want the ones who voted for Trump to vote for you the next time, then you have to meet our interests. We demand you do that. Now, that's what they're saying to him.
Now, that is not a position of strength. That's a position of no, because here is what we're looking at. We're looking at 2 years to the next midterm. Okay, now they're going to hold that leverage and get their demands now. No. You're coming late to the party, and now you want to get in because you say, okay, you're bringing some ice. It don't work that way.
So what is going to be your narrative, Vincent, when they get these seats?
Well, first, let's see if they get it, and then we'll look at the narrative.
All right. So I want to mark this.
I'm not going to put the cart before the horse.
No. But I want to mark this, right? I want to mark this moment because I want to revisit it and have a clear understanding that you said that they're not operating from a position of strength, and that Joe Biden, because we know Joe, you can't demand anything. I want to remember those two things.
No, and let me be clear in what I said. Because we know Joe, you can negotiate with him, but one thing you're not going to do is demand.
Wait a minute. I don't want you. Listen, I know we play. I know.
Finish, Eric, please. You're not going to demand, especially when you're not coming from a position of strength.
Right. Okay.
Joe knows that. He knows who voted for him.
Got it. So listen, I know I recited Michael Jackson earlier, but you're moonwalking already. So what you're moonwalking back on, and see, I can hear it. What you're gonna say? No, let me finish now, because what you're gonna say when they get it, when they get these seats, what you're gonna say is they negotiated. That's what you're setting up for, Vincent. Yeah, it is.
That's not what I'm setting up
okay.
For. That's what you are hoping.
No. So let us be clear that they didn't negotiate with him; they demanded.
Let us be clear that they didn't negotiate with him. They demanded after the election.
That's fine, but they demanded. And I'm telling you that they're going to get action on their demand. And you're saying they're not.
Right? Because they did vote for him. He did get a voting block of the Hispanic vote in Florida. He did get a voting block, right? And more important,
I'm not saying that they all didn't vote for him.
Vincent, don't interrupt.
And they did in large counties in Florida, and I don't want to be going back and forth with you, they did vote for Biden. Did Trump get a part of the Hispanic vote? Absolutely. But Spanish people did vote for him. But more importantly, they are...
Hey, Jody, hold on one second. Jody, hold on 1 second. Hold on 1 second. Hello?
Hi, good morning. Is this Eric Dawson?
This is Eric. Sorry, guys. I had to mute that. I had to take that very important phone call from my doctor's office, and as you can understand, I didn't want to have it. I didn't want to have it broadcasted live. Let me see if I can get these folks back on. Diane?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. Yeah, I had the other calls are going to come in. That was my doctor's office. I had to take that, so I had to mute the show. So I apologize, and everybody else will call back. Anyway, okay, here's Jody. Jody?
Yes, I'm here, sir.
Okay. And then we're waiting for Vincent. Vincent, I didn't hang up on you. So,
oh my God, you should have though.
No,
anyway,
no.
Go ahead, Jody. Go
yeah,
ahead.
please call back, Vincent.
They are becoming a very large majority and a very big part of the voting bloc. They're very, very, very powerful people. So for Vincent to not understand that that's the demand that he can't shape. Like you said, midterms is coming, and they will show because we don't, right? We, in the large part, we're very emotional. So, and we vote for big elections, and then we vote like on some other elections. So the expectation is that we're not going to see a real large part of that voting bloc that comes out in 2022, right? So it's just, that's the only thing that I don't understand is I won't blame that on Joe Biden, right? I wouldn't even blame that he gives them something because they had the tenacity to demand, right? I just blame that on us as a people, that we don't have that, and so we can be disrespected very often as we are because we just don't show that kind of power and that kind of tenacity. And I don't know why people think that Joe's such a tough guy.
Absolutely. Absolutely, Jody. The biggest problem that we have as Black Americans, ADOS, however you see yourself, African Americans, is we don't use our voting block to get or demand anything. We just come out and vote. Was stopping Trump. It was not about reparations. It was not about getting any services for our communities. It wasn't about housing. It wasn't about any of these things. It was about stopping Trump.
Right.
So when other groups put together their demands, they said, this is what we want for our vote.
Right.
When other people that looked like us that even came out, we said, no, this is not the right time. You shouldn't be coming out right before the election asking for things.
Right.
This person does, that Black person doesn't represent me. This Black person doesn't represent me. Who told them to speak for us? So we can't ourselves accept the fact that we didn't get anything out of this deal. And the people that ushered us down to this fish fry in South Carolina, either. So now the Hispanic group and many other groups like the Hispanic groups, and this is why they're talking about, they're now putting a narrative with this new cabinet person that he's put up also to say she's a person of color, to say that we need to pay more attention to the white male because we don't matter to them. All we are was a vote. So now it's too late.
Listen, Hispanics, and so when you look at the votes and you look at the number of Black people, like the large percentage of Blacks that voted for Biden, right? They really bought into the narrative, stop Trump, and then we'll deal with everything else later, right? Let's just get Trump out of the way. With the Hispanics, that message didn't fly, and you can tell it didn't fly because many of them voted for Trump, right? So it wasn't a stop Trump message. It was, what can Hispanics get? How can Hispanics benefit from this? And some of them voted for Biden because there were some demands that they made on Joe Biden. Joe Biden, the other one said, we don't believe that we're going to get what we want there, so we're going to come over here, right? So they separated their vote. And now, and this is where I'm saying the leverage is, Vincent. The leverage is in that they are not so easily swayed by a narrative that has nothing to do with something for them. See, Stop Trump had nothing to do with something for Black people. It has something to do with something for somebody else. Right? And the Black people joined that fight, just like we have done since we've been here. We've joined fights for things that had nothing to do with us because we were promised something down the road, right? I'll give you I'll pay you today for a burger, and two. So we can't, Hispanics didn't operate like that. They said, this is what we want to do. And you're right. They play both ends. Right? Some of them
did.
Yeah, they did.
But here is what I would like to make perfectly clear. Now, in the beginning stages of President-elect Biden's campaign, he solicited heavily the Black vote, especially the Black females. That's how the process of Lift Every Voice got into and on his website as his campaign.
Nobody's arguing that, Vincent.
Wait, let me finish, please. Our deal was already in place, because the Hispanic vote wanted to play both sides, and now Biden won, and they left out. Now they're looking to crash the wedding. I'm sorry. You had an opportunity. You were invited. You turned it down, and now you want to get in. And
Okay.
you're going to say, okay, we've got the votes now that's going to affect your midterms. Well, too freaking late.
Okay.
So
We're not.
perfect way to explain this is who are the black faces that Biden has chosen for his cabinet as of today? Because when you look at his cabinet choices, they don't look like us. But he stood up there right after the election and said, "You guys always support us. You help pull me over." So all of that you're saying about what we talked about in the plan, even us looking at the first 100 days of the plan, is there is nothing specifically for Black Americans to help us prosper. That's it. Can't deny it.
Then maybe you ought to read that plan again.
Right? I'm going to just a little, right? The picture he made for the United Nations, what's her name? Linda Thomas, was big to me, right? Black woman, never been done, very powerful woman, very smart woman. So, and right, and so I'm not to lift every voice to sing, and I'm not going to do this, and I got hope, none of that, right? But I do have to maintain or try to be what I don't want, what I'm asking of other people to not be, right? So the white men he chose and a white woman that he chose are very, very smart people, and I'm not going to do it off of race, right? Because where you say the cabinet, right, and I could say you, but look at the all-female communication team he put together the first time in the history. Several of Black women, some are women of color. I hate that, but whatever. That's huge to me. No one's talking about it. No one's saying anything. But the fact that he made the communications team for the first time in the White House, all women, and some of them are Black women, and that it's women in general. So when do we listen? If you put a whole bunch of Black people in the White House, do you feel legitimate? I wouldn't feel any more legitimate, and I would think it was focus, and I wouldn't think that it was necessarily best for the country, right? So I just don't think that if we are asking to be respected, then we should respect some of the things that are happening that don't necessarily look Black, right? I just don't agree with that all the time.
All right. So listen, we.
People, because we're also hearing the argument that these are all Obama people. I think he picked the people that he worked with prior to, that he feels comfortable with, and that are qualified, because we haven't been seeing that for the last 4 years, that are qualified for the titles of which they hold, regardless of their color. I don't think that's a payback, right? I don't think who sits in the White House is a payback. But I believe that the policies that the White House rolls out, if they don't include Black people, then that's what I'm looking for, right? My payback to me would be, what does that White House do, regardless of the color of the people in that White House, that changes my community? Not that the people that are rolling it out are my community. We need changes. We need changes that change the urban areas and the urban centers of this country. Now let's see what they do. But I can't necessarily say that enough. I know that because they're Black doesn't mean they have my agenda. Look at Georgia. Everyone in City Hall is Black faces, right? They haven't done anything for those Black people sitting in that city of North, right? So I don't care about the color. I care about the policies that come out of the White House and how they change communities across this country of color. Period.
If I could quote Reverend Dr. King, it's not the color of or paraphrase, it's not the color of a person's skin, but the content of their character.
Got it. So wait a minute, we got Deidre on the phone. We got Deidre on the phone. So
thank you, Deidre, for being so patient.
It's all right. I enjoy the lively conversation.
Good morning, Deidre.
Good morning.
You came into a family fight.
I didn't want to interrupt. I was like, maybe I'll call tomorrow.
Yeah, we were fighting over the wishbone on a turkey.
Hey, listen, man. Uh, so, Deidre, how was
Yes,
your
sir.
Thanksgiving?
How are you guys?
Oh, all right. How was your Thanksgiving?
I need a drink.
Good. It was quiet and small,
Good for you.
but we did the best we can. Me and my daughter still made 2 cakes, and
I
we're still
saw them.
snacking on that. So
I saw those cakes. They look delicious.
yeah, we still had a good time. We played games, and we made the best of it. Did a Zoom with the family.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Cool.
When you say games, you just made me think of something. So my daughter and I are planning a game night during Kwanzaa, family against family, and I'm definitely going to send you an invite because we're down for Black Jeopardy.
Ooh, please do.
Ooh.
Yes.
I love the virtual space too. I've done bingo with my family. We've done a couple card games, all virtual.
Mm-hmm.
So people are getting creative. If we can't be
Wait a minute. How do you do a
card?
card? How do you play cards virtually?
There's a website.
There's a website.
You all link into. They give you a code, and you link into the same code, and then you're all playing the same game, and it'll show you where you can put your cards at where the other players can't see. It's all technology.
Oh wow.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Oh wow. See, you know what? Then then that's how my family needs to do, especially spades from now on, because if fights break out.
Yeah, now spades is actually one of those ones on there.
Yeah, see, because then you can't. Then I can't throw things at my partner, if we do it virtually.
Yeah, but virtual smack talking takes a whole different dimension than in person. Behind the simple fact you can't reach across the table and slap somebody.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You gotta make the best you can out of the situation.
All right, that's cool. So listen, what good stuff do you have for us and for the listeners today?
So today I was actually going to talk about working remotely and some questions that you need to be prepared for when you are applying for those kind of jobs. I know that's been a big buzz recently, and I actually got a work from home job I'll talk to you guys about later. But when you are interviewing for these work from home jobs, remote jobs, if you will, there's a couple things you need to be prepared to answer, and I just want to kind of go over a few of those. Because employers, it seems like the perfect world, right? You can get up in your pajamas, you can just stroll out of bed and go to work. But there's a lot of dynamics and accountability that's been put on you when you are working from home, and so folks need to be prepared for that. And I know that it's a big thing now. Everyone's thinking that the world might go that way. In some respects, it might. Some companies, I think, are really pivoting and trying to figure out how to best make this work on a long-term basis. And so you may see more of these jobs out there, and people, should be aware of how to prepare themselves for it. I won't say different, just a little bit different than a typical interview. Some of the questions that they're going to ask, because you're not seeing your boss every single day in the face. They can't just pop into your office and talk and chit chat about things. So you want to definitely kind of, have all your ducks in a row if these interview questions come up. So I just want to kind of go over just a couple of them. That's okay with you guys.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Okay. So number one question might be, have you ever worked remotely? Some companies might care about that. I mean, now with COVID and a lot of companies were closed those couple of months, you might have had that opportunity too. But you may not. This might be your very first opportunity to work remotely. And so what does that look like to you? So just, there's no wrong answer in that respect. It's just that you just have to be honest if you have the capability to be able to work remotely. What kind of tools and softwares have you used in the past? If you have worked remotely, they want to understand, even if you haven't, there's still tools that we use even in our office with Google Docs or other project management software that you might use. So you want to be able to kind of talk about what type of things that you've used in the past that you're super comfortable with, that you don't have to necessarily learn from the beginning. So you want to definitely talk about those and be prepared to give examples of what you've done collaboratively with your team to make that make that process work seamlessly. Even if it's even in the office or not in the office. Another one is, how do you have effective communication or collaboration with your team, right? And so if you have worked remotely before, you want to try to give some examples for what you've done to collaborate with your team so that you all are on the same page. That's one of the dynamics of not being in the same room or in the same space all the time, even at the water cooler. You may not have those kind of one-up conversations. And so what kind of things could you do or have you done in the past, or suggestions for what you want to do? I mean, in that case, you might say we need to have weekly meetings. We need to have, end of the day, kind of one-on-ones to kind of check in and see what's going on so that we're not constantly interrupting each other, sending emails or pick up the phone. How can we effectively communicate with each other when we're not in the same space? And so you want to be able to answer questions similar to that. And then how do you keep your time and stay organized? That's a biggie. Everyone seems to think that some people work from home and maybe they just lollygag, and I know that's not the case. People I talk to that work from home actually they feel they work harder when they're home because they can show up early, right? You can stay late, you can work through lunch. And so, but you want to give examples to this potential boss. What ways are you going to manage your time and how are you going to stay organized? What are some tools that you use? Do you use your Outlook calendar? Do you have a kind of a color-coded system? What kind of things do you do to kind of keep yourself on task so that you know that your responsibilities that they've given you are going to be working and you're going to be able to turn things in a timely manner?
So, Deidre, what do you suggest for people for those answers? Because I know I've worked from home many years before, and I can work home at any particular time. But what do you tell people about how to organize their day? Things that they should not do during their work hours, like you shouldn't try to do laundry and cook dinner and all these other things. Like, what do you suggest for them to stay focused on their job, but not be so, overwhelmed by working off a computer all day?
And I know that's one that you can easily fall down a rabbit hole, right? Let me just make dinner, or let me just, put a couple loads of laundry. Next thing you know, you look up and you've lost 2 hours. So
Let me run an errand.
Right. You want to try to keep yourself tasked during that period of time, just as you were if you were out of your home, so that you don't fall down that rabbit hole and then look up and you've lost time and now your boss is looking for something with a deadline. I think that, you could still, I'm not going to say you won't do it because you will. You have to take breaks or whatever. I think keeping a schedule is the biggest way to keep yourself motivated and focused. That's why they may ask you the question about time management and what does that look like. And so, how are you going to manage your day? How are you going to put it on the calendar? Are you going to kind of at the beginning of the day you're going to task everything out for what you have to complete that day and make sure you complete it by the end of the day. Because inside there might be meetings, there might be people that do interrupt you and ask questions about different things. And so you need to just make sure you keep yourself on task. And what does that look like?
Well, one of the things.
Hello, you still there?
He must have got this.
Yes, one of the things that an employer asks for is looking for when he says, "Have you worked remotely before?" One of the things that he's looking for is that you have the wherewithal and the capability. Do you have the best Wi-Fi connections and bandwidth? Do you have the experience with the docs needed? Zoom, Google Meet, Google Calendar Schedule, all of those office suites in terms of Microsoft. So he knows what he would have to equip you with, or you would have to actually do for the performance of the job. The other thing that look for, because I've been working from home for the last 14 years, is that not only keeping a schedule and discipline to your schedule, but you also have to train yourself to block out distractions. Because when people find that you're working from home, they tend to give you more things to do at home, like the laundry or start dinner or pick up this or run errands. So you have to be very disciplined with that as well. And what I found out with most of my employees who just started working from home from the pandemic is that they all say that they've been doing more work at home than they've been doing in the office.
Mm-hmm.
Because it keeps them focused, and you don't take hour and a half lunch break. You get up, you go to the refrigerator, you heat something up, you come sit back down at your computer and go back to work.
And that may work well for some folks. Some folks aren't that engaged, and it could be the complete opposite. They might have a hard time staying motivated and being on task when there's lots of, so your biggest statement there was distractions. There could be lots of distractions. It's just so easy to say, oh, let me just go do that. And next thing you know, you look up and you've lost half your day. So,
Deidre, what does a good workspace look like at home? Like, how do you set up your workspace if you have extra room or if you don't? What would you suggest for your client?
So if you don't have extra space, I think a corner and even a bedroom with a desk is appropriate. Maybe even with a screen, what do you call it? One of those dividers. Because if you do have someone else that's in your home, maybe that's a way to show them, okay, when the dividers close, that means I'm working. Do not interrupt, to your point, Vincent, of someone coming in and saying, you can just run and do this, or you can do that. But if you do have a separate space in your home, that would be obviously the most optimal, because you can close the door, you can even lock the door, and for you, it feels like a separate room, a separate space that you're going to each day, where you can have all your appropriate computers set up, even whiteboards set up, or whatever else you need that's going to keep you motivated, and have a nice plant in there. So things that make it feel like it's an office versus just I'm going to this corner and going to work. So it should be separate, it should be clean, and it should be private.
Another thing with the divider, I had a video conference call with another insurance broker the other day, and she was telling me on the other side of her divider, she was in one little small space. She said on the other side of the divider is my daughter doing her schoolwork, and right in front of me, where you can't see them, she said on my twin boys doing their work, because I want to make sure that they do their work, because if I don't, they'll just be playing around. And then she was sitting at her desk talking to me, having a business call. I thought it was a lot going on, but I guess with the kids, they have the headphones on, so it's not so much of a distraction. But that is a good way to separate space within a room. Are those dividers?
Yeah. And the biggest thing
is the daughter still in your office working, or she elevated to move out of your office now?
Please, say that again.
I said, is your daughter still working out of your office, or has she elevated to move out? Because I know there was an issue.
Well, I'm back in the office. So.
Oh, okay.
I don't know what she's doing.
Oh, you don't bring her to work with you either, huh?
No, I don't. She's home working, and her dad's been watching her. So keeping yourself motivated is a biggie, and so they might ask you, how do you keep yourself motivated and engaged when you're working from home? And you might want to talk about how you work, independently as well as collaborating with your team, how you set up, how you would like that you guys have weekly meetings so that you can check in with each other and understand, what kind of tasks the other folks are working on. So I think that it's important that you're going to show that you're not just going to, kind of fall behind and no one's ever going to hear from you again. There has to be a way for you to keep yourself self-motivated, because that's the big thing about when you're working from home is you have to be self-motivating. No one's kind of nudging you. I mean, they might send you emails randomly and call you and that kind of thing, but it can feel a little bit differently than seeing your coworkers every single day and having that kind of one-on-one dialogue. I think like when we were all working from home, we would have morning meetings every morning, kind of just to kind of set the tone for the day, see each other, understand what's going on, and then, kind of chat throughout the day if need be. But you want to try to say, explain to that person, your potential boss, you are the kind of person that can be motivated, and these are some suggestions that you'd like to have happen. And also you want to talk about what's going to make your project successful when you're working remotely, right? And so if you've got deadlines, I would imagine, you want to talk about, appropriate deadline might be appropriate for being sure everybody's on task so that you guys can meet often, understand what the timeline is, so that you make sure you don't miss that deadline and everyone's on the same page. Sometimes you're working alone. A lot of times you might be working collaboratively with other people, and things might be dependent on whatever you have to someone else. So you definitely want to kind of talk a little bit about what does that look like, and how you're going to be able to work remotely and keep on task and turn everything in an appropriate time. And then one of the things they might talk about, because as we've had to adapt quite a bit over COVID, and even in general, every business kind of talks, changes, processes change, technology might change. They might ask you a question about how you've been able to adapt to change. I know a couple months ago, we might even revisit this again. We talked about having a behavioral interview, and this is a classic example of a question that they might ask you. And when they say, tell me about a time you had to adapt to change quickly, and what does that look like?
Right.
Because I think if you're working from home, things might change on the fly, and they may not be able to kind of pull everybody together. They might just, they'll have a meeting, and maybe the technology changes or whatever it is, and you might just have to be able to show that you won't miss a beat. And so you can give a specific example for what you've done in the past that shows that you're not the person that is all about, everything has to be the old way, or I don't want change, because change is hard. But an employer wants an employee that is able to change whatever is needed. It could be small. It could be a new ID for whatever, a new passcode, or that changes every 3 months or a month. How are you going to be able to do that? Or it could be something very big. You guys all have to learn a new software, and what does that look like? So Deidre, I was reading today, and they were talking about how things are going to change in regards to salaries, because employees are now working from home. So many people that were working in the city were making these higher salaries, and now they've either moved out of the city or moved to other places that are less expensive, so their cost of living has actually gone down for them since they're working from home. Some companies are talking about adjusting salaries accordingly because of that. What have you seen in the employment industry, and talked to other companies about what they plan to do because people are moving to more virtual and possibly virtual permanent jobs? Interestingly enough, I had this conversation with someone in New York, because a lot of folks, they had decided they were allowing their employees to stay remote indefinitely, and they moved to other parts of the country, went back and lived with parents or what have you. And they were looking to reduce their pay. I think it's an interesting and maybe sometimes risky move, if you will, to lower the person's pay. But it's definitely a buzz that's been talked about, because to hire someone in New York, as you know, is a different pay scale than someone in Alabama. And so I think that they're looking at that. I think it's a slippery slope, to be honest. But I know it's a world we're living in, and companies have to figure out how to cut costs and save money whichever way they can. But it may cost talent in the long run. You had a question, Vincent? I'm going to move to the next one.
Yes. Well, what I wanted to do was add to the comments. You said adapting to change. Mm-hmm. Not only does companies experience change with software operating systems, but also we're looking at change of employees as well. A lot of people have had to pick up the slack of other employees, because even though they're working from home, they're still contracting the coronavirus. And so you have to be flexible, which I have to say is a lot difficult for some men than it is for some women.
Yeah, that's a good point. If you have someone that might have to take some time off if they're ill, then other employees might have to pick up the slack of that particular person. I think that's what you're alluding to.
Yeah.
That can definitely be a challenge. And I think that comes with anything, though. Even when an employee's on vacation, that should be part of the conversation of, this person's out for a week or two, and we need to, rally around and figure out how to best get her work done and his work done until she returns. So I think those same conversations should have been happening already, as it relates to kind of how to divvy up work. Even when an employee leaves, the company, because that happens too. An employee leaves the company for whatever reason, gets fired, or just leaves altogether, and now the work has to be divided up until a new person is found. And what does that look like? And how can you best support the company so that it doesn't miss a beat? Yes, it might require a little longer hours, or maybe it requires, figuring out what to do and who to kind of, put this particular project on versus another person that has a different skill set, but it's definitely something that needs to be, conversated.
Sure.
I thought the other question I was going to ask, the other thing I was going to talk about was actually, which I thought you were alluding to, Vincent, was how to deal with conflict with a coworker, because that might be a question that also comes up when you are, and conflicts happen no matter what, in the office, out of the office. But I think that if you're trying to get a job remotely, you want to try to, find a way to explain that you are going to be the kind of person that, doesn't shy away from conflict, and give a specific example, maybe something that happened in the past with your old employers and what you've done to mitigate conflict, because it's going to happen. Or do you just kind of shove it aside, or do you send an email? Do you take it head on to the person? Do you schedule a meeting? I think you want to kind of think that through as a question that might happen, because it's so easy to hide behind your computer at home and not have to deal with it when, it's something that needs to be dealt with.
You start becoming a cyber stalker, cyberbullying your employees, your coworkers. Yeah. Cyber conflicts are crazy. In fact, they've been leading to a couple of shootings here in South Jersey. But another thing, in terms of working from home, what focus is, of course, important. In terms of keeping you focused, should you have that meeting with your family and express to them that, this is my time to work. Do not disturb me. This would be like at me being here, or do you just kind of let things go random?
No, I think a conversation needs to be had with the family. I think the biggest kind of bubbling to the surface for why folks want to work from home are the kids are home.
True.
I know that's a double-edged sword for how do you manage your child as well as work your full-time job and not be interrupted, but your child's 6. And what does that look like? And so I think that if they're older children, that's easier, or just a spouse, that's a super easy one. This is my space. I work from 8 to 5. Please don't interrupt me, unless it's obviously something that's really, really critical, and figure out how that best communication should happen. Do they call you? Do they just run into your room? Like, what does that look like? Just so everyone's on the same page, and it's not just I'm going to constantly interrupt you because I know you're there.
Yeah, I tell my family that, and when I'm here and I'm working, do not interrupt me unless there's a pregnant virgin knocking on the door.
So Deidre, do you suggest that people potentially looking for jobs should discuss their family situation as to who's home when they're looking for a job? Like, is it still like off limits?
No, the family situation should not come up. I'm just mentioning that because even as I've started to talk to folks that we've interviewed a while ago, and I'm calling them for jobs, and they're all saying, "Oh, I want to work from home because," and they're telling you, because my child is home. Mm-hmm. But I would not recommend bringing up family situations at all.
But isn't that the elephant in the room in terms of New Jersey?
It is, but it's also, I think that a lot of companies, this might be a way that they're looking to do their work, in general. But yeah, it can be a consideration that it might be stuck in the employer's head. This is the reason. They are not allowed to ask you that. That's like
right.
It goes down to your EEOC questions related to family and those kind of things. You're not allowed to ask those questions. And so if you volunteer it, then now you volunteer it. So that's why I'm recommending don't volunteer it.
Don't volunteer it. Okay. So, So what are the hot jobs working from home and on site?
So there's always customer service jobs that are, I seem to bump into those a lot. I haven't seen a lot of those myself to fill, but somehow companies are really finding a way to have their customer service department be in various homes throughout the country. So,
well, but you know what, Deidre? But a lot of companies already have customer service overseas.
Exactly.
Right? And yeah.
Yeah, because the woman who helped me install my program was from Taiwan, and she was working from home.
Yeah, I think as technology has continued to improve and they found proper Wi-Fi or whatever systems they might use in order for you to be as connected as you can. It's just going to get better, and it's going to be more. That's why I think that this whole COVID kind of was a quick way to determine if you have the right technology in place, and if you don't, how to get it properly, so
Right.
that your staff won't miss a beat. If you have a small company, maybe not a big deal, but if you have a large company, that can be problematic. So that's the biggest one I've seen. I've seen some. I have an audit job now that we're recruiting for. So you'll be working from home, doing some audit work. You're looking at lots of documents, reading lots of documents. I mean, if you think about it, probably any job can be remote. When it boils down to it, except obviously the fact of going into a store and buying something. But most of the kind of office jobs, when it goes down to it, it can be remote. And that's why I think that a lot of companies, when they look up, they say, wait a minute, I may not need this expensive real estate anymore.
Sure.
Maybe if I find a way to have everyone stay remote, because a lot of them had to be remote, during COVID, and if you get the right technology in place, it can be a long-term gig. It just might be some people, believe it or not, don't like working from home. That's a whole nother conversation to be had. They like leaving the house and all the drama with the house, or just being somewhere different, and having that interaction with their coworkers on a consistent basis versus I got to pick up the phone and talk to them. You can hear chatter over, or meeting for lunch, or having quick conversations. A lot of people miss that kind of thing. But for those that for those that do it well, that like the work from home, it can definitely be a win.
Sure.
For you. I mean, Vincent, you did it 14 years. It's pretty long. My sister's been at work from home. She does mortgages. She's been doing that for as long as I can remember. 10, 15 years. You don't really need to be in an office. You just need to have, proper systems in place, proper technology in place, and staff that want to do it.
No, definitely. It's a total different mindset working from home. The independence, you have to be an independent worker. You have to adhere and to your deadlines. You have to be very organized with meetings. So, I mean, it's a different mindset. But, I mean, in terms of being an employer, it's also, like you said, I don't have to pay those big, expensive, office building rents.
Exactly. And so, it's about, trusting your workers too, right?
Yeah.
And having proper systems in place to make them feel engaged and informed, and getting the work done, so if you're interviewing for a work from home job, just, think about some of the questions I've listed here, because one of the things that they'll also ask you about is, tell me about something you weren't sure how to do something. You might be working from home and you might be at a loss for whatever reason. And maybe now, instead of standing up and going to talk to, John down, 2 offices down, super easy and maybe non-confrontational or not a big deal. And you got to pick up the phone and figure out who the best person is to speak to and what kind of thing. You want to make sure you're going to give specific example for, you're not afraid to raise your hand and ask for help. Don't feel like you're working from home and you're like kind of on an island by yourself. You're not. You're working for a company, and they need to be able to know that they're trusting you to get the work done. But if there's an issue and a challenge you're having, you've got to find the right resources.
Sure.
Yes, the greatest resource is YouTube tutorials. You can build a spaceship.
That might not work for a specific company worried about how to figure out how to do a debt ratio for mortgages. That's a little different.
Right.
But, and then lastly, if you're interviewing, for a work from home job, and they ask you if you have any questions, you want to, don't say I don't have any questions. That's never a good answer.
What questions?
Go ahead.
What questions do you want to ask? I mean, what is an ear-catching question that you can ask, for a work from home position?
Maybe how am I going to be evaluated? Can you tell me a little bit about the team dynamic and how often we're going to meet together so that we can make sure that we're all on the same page? How large is your remote team? And how large is this team that I'm on?
Am I going to be compensated for increasing my Wi-Fi and phone Do I
I
need a
would,
private office line?
I wouldn't ask that one, Vincent. You know,
Okay.
when companies are working, when they know you're working from home, they typically have programs or processes for those type of things, so that you are not out of pocket. At least that's how it should be. If there's some other things that happen that's not happening, then yeah, I think that's an honest conversation to have. To say, oh, I have to upgrade my Wi-Fi. Oh, and you're not willing to pay for that. I wouldn't say it that way, but.
But let me ask you a question though. But no. But I want to ask this question.
There are some customer service jobs that I have seen, and I don't know how legit these customer service jobs are, work from home jobs, where they say you have to provide your own equipment.
Correct.
Your Wi-Fi service, you have to buy
Right.
headphones, and so on all of these other things. What do you think about that? Is that something that people should be looking to put out? Or should they be looking more for companies that actually supply the services? Or can you really tell which one is a legit business as opposed to a non-legit company?
Yeah, that's a good question. I can't say I have a perfect answer for that. I would just inquire further.
Right.
And, how large this company is.
Yeah.
If it does seem like it has a decent presence in the U.S., because most of the companies, if they were going to fly COVID, we had a couple of days to be shut down. Didn't have the time to put proper systems in place. But now that they've, we've had a couple of months of cementing in this, and those companies that are allow work from home staff, they have processes in place to get their people the right technology, and so that they're not out of pocket.
Right.
And there's a reason for that too, because there's security things involved, and so they want to make sure that the information that's coming across the webs is secure. It's their intellectual property, and so I think it would make sense for them to provide the proper equipment so that they can control it and monitor it in the proper fashion.
Right. Would it ever be considered though? Because you look and say a person who's working from home, they're no longer incurring gas and toll charges, right? Wear and tear on their vehicle, all of those things. And so when you add up what it might be to boost your Wi-Fi, is that really a conversation you want to have? Or do you just eat
That's a
that?
good point.
Do you understand what I'm saying? I mean, you nickel and dime it at this point. Does that leave a bad taste in the company's mouth? Because I would realize that that your commute, you're probably literally saving hundreds of dollars a month in gas, right?
Well, she said that that's not a question that you want to ask.
Oh, okay, okay.
Right. I'm saying if most companies, the ones I've seen, typically have a package and plan in place. Maybe in the back of your head is what I was saying. If they wind up not having that, you might have to reconsider that. You might have to just think it through. But to your point, Eric, you're right. You're saving all that money.
Yeah.
And
Correct.
Yeah.
Not to mention lunch.
Now, but here's something interesting. Is it a write-off if you're working from home? Is it or is it only a write-off if it's a business? So like if you're doing a 1099.
No, actually, you can write off a home office if you are spending X amount of time working there. It's a tax deduction.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be a business.
Yeah. So then you could write. Yeah. So then I wouldn't even think about that other question then. Yeah, because you could write it off and you're saving money. You're winning. That's the point, right? You're winning and you're employed. So leave it alone. Leave it alone.
So what else in terms of seasonal and ex-offender friendly positions that are available?
So I've got some. We always have Express in Jersey City. We always have our general warehouse, our forklift positions. Those are super busy right now. So if you are in the market for those kind of jobs, we have them. We're getting a lot of super skilled positions right now, though. I have a forklift maintenance tech position. I have 2 maintenance mechanic positions. I have 2 mechanic positions, one diesel mechanic, one regular mechanic. I just got, as I mentioned, an auditor role. I have a regulatory auditor role. It's a work from home job. So if you're the kind of person, you might work at a big bank, want to do some regulatory auditing work, looking at a lot of documents, that's a great opportunity for someone. I'm also looking for a junior patent attorney. I don't know if I mentioned that the last time.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you did.
I'm still looking for that person, junior patent attorney. Yeah, to work. That too will be a work from home.
I might want to start posting something up in the local colleges for the law school graduates.
Yeah. So that's we have a bunch of them listed. I have too many to mention, but we're very busy. I'm also looking for customer service logistics. I have 3 positions like that right now. I'm not sure why we're having a challenge finding that. But customer service, and you worked in a trucking company, transportation logistics, any kind of companies related to that. We have 3 openings for that right now. One's in Newark, one's in Kearney. No, 2's in Newark, one's in Kearney. So, yeah.
And how can people reach you?
So you can go to our website, expresspros.com/Jersey City. You can also call us at 201-333-8400. We have an app, too. I don't know if I mentioned it last time. We have an app, the Express Jobs app. So if you find us in the Apple Store or in the Google Play Store, it's Express Jobs, JOBS. You can go there, you can register, and then once you register, it will actually send you notifications of jobs that are close to you. So it'll keep you kind of being proactive about the jobs that are out there.
There you go.
And above all, please share the show with your friends who are looking for jobs. Share the show with your children you think need jobs. And please mention that you heard about it from the Eric Dawson Show. We like to keep track and progress of how we're helping the community.
Thank you so much.
Thank you,
I'm going to still listen in and let you guys finish your reviews.
Yeah. Well, so far it's the Eric Dawson, Vincent Squire SmackDown, and yeah.
No,
and,
why is it a
it's Eric
SmackDown?
Dawson to Vincent Squire 46. So we're gonna.
No.
Wait, before you leave, did you see the Netflix? Kevin Hart's Netflix, we got this thing with you, me, and Kevin Hart. So I'm not going to relive the incident of somebody getting thrown out the concert. However, what I will say is, because of that, a good friend left with the other friend. But anyway, his recent show on Netflix.
I haven't.
Okay,
I
gotta check it out.
I gotta tell my wife
for a while, but I'm over it now.
Okay, well, giving hint to who got thrown out. But anywho, if you check it out, he talks about in one of his.
Kevin Hart has a new stand-up.
And he's mute your phone, Vincent. And he's been thrown under the bus for one of the jokes that he told regarding his daughter, saying that she has whole-like tendencies, and because she's a teenager. A preteen, actually, and he talked about how one day she liked this guy, and then the next day she didn't like him anymore, and then she liked somebody else, and then the next day she liked the third guy. And then he said he called one of his friends who was a hoe and asked that person, was this whole like tendencies that my daughter is going through? And people have been throwing him under the bus.
Oh, leave him alone.
What you say?
Leave him alone. He's a comedian.
So,
and he's a dad.
And then
so what are your thoughts?
he's a comedian and he's a dad. And
Did you watch the show, Eric?
I didn't, but he's a comedian and he's a dad. And the people who throw him under the bus don't know the kind of relationship he has with his daughter, right?
And who wants to be the dad of the townhome?
And I ain't gonna say that when you were giving that description, I was like, oh Lord.
No, all right, well, I'm gonna go. On that note, I'm gonna go. I'll check it out. I'll have to call you later.
Check it out, Deidre. Let me know. But again, when is comedy too much? When is it cross the line? When it's no longer funny and it's inappropriate and it's offensive and abusive?
Well, comedy has a history of being inappropriate and abusive. The ability that people do to actually have people to look at their pain, look at themselves from another perspective, it can be very offensive to everyone.
Well, remember, the LGBTQ community tried to throw Chappelle under the bus, right, for his last comedy show. And
For who?
huh?
You said for who? Speak up, because your mic is very low.
Oh, I'm sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. I said the LGBTQ community attempted to hoist Dave Chappelle under the bus,
They did the same with Kevin Hart.
but Dave Chappelle stuck his middle finger up and said exactly what Vincent said. This is comedy. Get over it.
Okay, so they did the same thing with Kevin Hart for something he posted 5 or 10 years ago.
Oh, that wasn't comedy though.
And he came back.
No.
But he's still a comedian.
See, no. See, it's different.
No. He's still a comedian.
No.
And when he posts as a comedian.
No, he did. No,
yes,
no, he
yes,
didn't. No, he
You
did.
have to go back and look at it. So what I'm saying is, when another group calls him out, he's easy and quick to apologize. But when you talk about a young black woman or black girl, it's okay to relate whole-like tendencies to a black girl.
Now, I'm not suggesting. I didn't
think
say.
the big difference is the fact that he's talking about his own child.
I didn't say that Kevin Hart should have apologized. He has to make that decision himself. But I don't think that tweet, right? See, you can be a comedian and you can have conversations or thoughts or ideas that you share that are not comedic, right? That are not a part of your stand-up or any of those kinds of things. That's what you say. And you can't say simply because I'm a comedian, everything that comes out of my mouth is comedy. That's not true. But what we're talking about here with Kevin Hart is that, and I haven't seen it, but you're saying that it was part of his stand-up that he made that comment, right? So that's different. The context is different. And I'm going to say to you that I agree with Vincent. That's his daughter, one, right? And two, yeah. You listen, you have people make comments all the time about gay tendencies or other kinds of tendencies, and, people, I mean, I'm talking about comedians, right? Talking about tendencies and identifying them. And so, what would be, yeah, I understand the level of discomfort because this is a guy talking about his daughter, but he's saying, hey, listen, I don't want my kid on a pole, right? I don't want my kid to be the town hoe. And I'm asking this question in this comedic framework. Is this something I need to be concerned about? Is this like a tendency?
Okay, so let's go back to what I said previously with the LGBTQ throwing them under the bus. It was a joke that he told about his son playing with the doll baby, and he did not want him to be gay. So it was not a post.
No, I understand that, but I'm saying so Kevin Hart, he folded, right? But I'm saying to you that when the harsh jokes that Dave Chappelle told, right? They came after him, and he stuck his middle finger up and stood his ground. And I'm saying to you, in that regard, Kevin Hart should have stuck his middle finger up at the LGBTQ community and told them to get over it. Stop being so goddamn sensitive.
See, here's the thing. Everybody loves a joke until the joke is on them. Now they're offended.
So yes, I agree with you, Diane. He should have stood his ground with that joke.
Mm-hmm.
He folded.
Go ahead. Vincent, you have to mute your phone or stop breathing into the microphone. Please. Go ahead, Jody. I'm sorry, I can't hear you. Gotta speak up.
Was that a joke offensive to you?
The joke wasn't offensive to me at all. I'm just repeating what the joke was, and I'm also repeating because I watched the show and I heard the joke, and in all honesty, the whole show was trash. It really was trash. It was bad. It was just bad. Only because none of the jokes were funny. There was one joke that I chuckled at, but that was it. His whole routine material was trash. This was just another look at it to say, okay, this is what you think about your daughter. This is what you want to represent and put out into the world. Like, you could have said this was my niece, or this was some, but really you talk about your kids in such a way, like, yeah. So that was the context of that. So did you?
But isn't there? Wait a minute. Isn't there a Is it?
And honestly, I only asked you not that I thought you did, but just because once you guys started talking about it, then I started thinking about it. As a mom, I don't know. I'm kind of crass, mom. No.
But let me ask you this question, Jody. Isn't there a routine that he does where he talks about his son in a way that depicts him as being
Gay.
no, not gay, like learning impaired, right?
Stupid. He said it.
Right.
Stupid.
Right. And so my question is this. So now all of those advocates for learning impaired people, right? Should they now say to Kevin Hart, "Hey, you're being insensitive because you have people who are learning impaired and they might find offense in what you just did. And then how dare you speak about your child in that manner as opposed to you elevating him and talking about his brilliance." I mean, where do we draw the...
Let's be honest about
I would
wait, Vincent, stop interrupting. Let's be honest about this. When will black men stop degrading black women, regardless of the age? When does that stop, and stop throwing it in the under the auspices that it should be funny? And then you turn around and you say, well, we don't have value for ourselves because this is how we talk about ourselves. At what point do you stop it? What point do you say it's no longer a joke anymore? You have to stop the behavior.
Well, I think that would actually happen when black women stop degrading black men, and when people look, degrading people is another thing that's been in our society since the beginning of our society. Because when you degrade somebody, it shows your insecurity because you have to elevate yourself over them. Now, stop interrupting. Stop it, Diane. Stop interrupting. You are still no. Stop interrupting. Wait until I'm finished talking.
Listen, you cannot keep changing the question to answer what you want to answer. We already know it has happened for many years. That is the whole point.
I believe I answered it when I said when they stop degrading the men.
And I said blame the victim. That's what I said. That's a good answer, to blame the victim.
No, not blame the victim. Actually, here it is. What's good for the goose is good for the gander. You are going to have to clap or get off the pot. You cannot expect, no, stop interrupting. You cannot expect one to do something that you constantly do. The hypocrisy is unbelievable. And you need hip boots just to walk through it. So bottom line, if you want them to stop, then you have to stop.
Examples, right? I would ask you for 3 examples. We are not in your world, in the Vincent made-up world, but in this world where women are degrading men, and then ask me to give you 20, and I'll just roll them off, and I'll give you respective names to respective faces. That was a horrible answer to her question, and that was
Well, no. So I'm gonna jump on Vincent's side. I'm gonna jump on Hey, Vincent.
You're asking Vincent's honest opinion, but when he gives it to you, oh my God, that is the sexist thing ever. You can't.
Hey, Vincent, I'm getting ready to jump on your side. Let me do it. Let me jump.
You gotta speak up too. We can't hear you.
So let me jump on Vincent's side for a second.
Go ahead, you male chauvinist.
No, it's not about being male chauvinist, but every time I listen to Erykah Badu singing Tyrone, and when I've seen Erykah Badu in person, in concert, and I see all the women scream and holler at the song, right? I'm not Tyrone, but there's no counterbalance to that. If when I'm in the audience,
What part of her song did she degrade him? Please, what part of her
Really?
really? Are you wait a minute? Are you serious?
Eric,
Are you serious? Are you wait a minute? Let me pull a.
I'm serious.
Eric, she's inviting you to go down to the rabbit hole because of the simple fact that you're right.
Excuse me, Eric, because I want to hear from you. What part of the song did she degrade him? How women have been degraded by men continuously.
No. So I'm not gonna do right. So what I'm saying is this: to me, it's not a tit for tat, right? I can look. There are women comedians. What's the other woman's name? Oh gosh, black woman.
Lunel.
No. Yeah, Shamor. Oh my God. Are you? Well, wait a minute. Let's go to Shamor. Let's talk about how how she objectifies men in her stand up, right? And how she degrades men in her stand up. And I can give you more. So look, all I'm saying is this, and I'm not willing, but I'm not saying that she's not funny. I sit and laugh at it. Right? I sit and laugh at it. But there could be those people who have the conversation with me and say, well, Eric, you know what? The emasculation of the black man is a major issue in our community. And how can you laugh at that? Right? So all I'm saying is this. I can hear the argument on both sides about the emasculation of men and the degradation of women, black women, and the emasculation of black men. But it happens in comedy for men, women emasculating black men, and black men degrading black women. So, to Vincent's point, then we should cut it all out. That's all I think he's saying. But it is happening on both sides. And we chuckle. We all do. And now, if you want me to take the zero tolerance position and say, you know what? Wipe it all off, then you know what? I'm gonna say to you, wearing this hat, that you know what? I could appreciate you challenging me to do that. But you can't challenge me to do one without challenging me to do the other one. Right? So if the challenge is gonna be there to say, hey Eric, give some real consideration to the emasculation of the black man through the comedy of the black woman, as well as the degradation of the black woman through the comedy of the black comedian, male comedian, that is a valid conversation. I'm not disputing that, but it's got to be a balanced one.
Thank you, Eric, because that's all I was saying.
And if we're gonna do that, yeah, I gotta say, yeah. And I think that's where Jody was pausing. Like, you know what? How do we have these conversations about how do I? See, you're pulling me into a place where, and I evolve on the show, right? But yeah, how does Eric Dawson sit and rail against NWA and what I say NWA did, right? And I'm not willing to stand up and say, yeah, anything that we need to be held accountable for any and everything that comes out of our mouths. You're right. And so yeah, but I I think that we need to take stock on both sides. But you're right.
I think the difference is that Vincent said when black women stop doing it to black men, whatever the heck he said, and that is such there is such like that is such a different one, right? It is so everyday, all day it's finished, right? And that take the color off of it. And the degradation of women is so everyday, all day, right? That for him to just pop up as that as the at the level of a Kevin Hart, right? You don't even, most people, a lot of people, if they're not black, don't even know what the hell who she is, right? We know her in our community, but she's not that big. So we, right? That's a big for analysis for me, right? And moreover, the that there is no equal in that. There isn't. You can't equal out degradation of women in this country and the degradation of men in this country at all. The reason why I wasn't really offended by the Kevin Hart thing is because we're only, Diane could only say, when are we going to stop doing that to black women? Because he was a black comedian, but if that was a white comedian talking about his daughter and saying, I don't know if you would use the word hoe, but whatever the word would have been that they use in their community, they would have just been a joke about women.
No,
all of the honest, right? Just kind of have conversations amongst dads and moms, like what is my kid's going to do with this kid showing, slow fingers, and it's a joke, right? But then he took that backdoor bedroom talk between a mom and a dad about this school, right? He took that to the school thing. But I just don't want you, and I don't think it's cool to act like there is an equal amount of degradation of men as there is women, right? Because
no. See,
well, wait a minute.
okay.
And then, so I'm saying, we're talking about Kevin Hart, right? And then I can tell you a host of politicians, men, all colors, and grade women. I can tell you a host of, I think every sector of this world, right? And I still get paid 50 less shit than you do on a dollar. That conversation just can't happen. And so we're on a level playing field all across the board, right? The women are treated just the same as men across the board. Please let's not have a conversation about the equality of degradation to the sexes, because I don't even get paid what you get paid in 2020, and just because I don't have a third leg. That is a ridiculous conversation to have incredible.
Okay. Now, as I was saying, as I said earlier, everybody loves a joke until the joke is on them. And the same thing with degradation. And please don't interrupt, because I didn't interrupt you, and I did let you finish. Now, the simple fact is that you cannot minimize one and maximize the other. Pain is pain. And if people are offended by it because of, it fits their gender, sex, or whatever the case may be, then it is still pain. We cannot say that he shouldn't talk that way about those people, yet it's all right to talk that way about other people. It's hypocrisy. It's got to be across the freaking board. We should not be into the tearing down, and he's allowed to do that because that's his child. But in terms of women or men as a whole,
you missed my point, right? Because I just told you
no, I got your point. I'm just trying to accentuate.
I actually told my thought it was, I thought it was something else later. You always have a crush on somebody, because that's coming to me, right? That's not offensive to me as a woman, right? And sexuality is also a part of how we've been made. If a girl or a woman is sexual to a whore as opposed to sexual, but if a man, all right, let's go into all those things. What I'm saying is, over time, when we stop doing that to men, it's so off the mark, right? Because then we would have to talk about equality, right? You can't tell me about how men are treated, and I, in this world, on this planet, in this country, I still can't even get the same thing. I could be smarter than you. I could be more educated than you. I could come from better places than you. And you will still get paid more on the dollar than I do, just based on your gender. Until that is equal, there's no conversation that should be held about.
So here's what I'm gonna say. I'm gonna make this Vincent.
Who make more money than me.
Vincent. Okay.
And I pay them.
Okay.
When you're
So here's what I'm gonna say.
I'm talking about a dollar bill on my pay rate.
Right.
It's not based on
So
better or whatever. About my dollar amount.
I'm talking about. I'm talking about right now. I got a female vice president who makes more money in my company than I do. So that's not society in its entirety. Yes, there are a lot of women who get underpaid and are more qualified than men. That is true, but it's not in its entirety.
hey Diane, you hear me talking?
You need a whooping. You just need your wife to walk in the kitchen and smack you in your head.
Well, this is going to sound real sexist. My wife can slap me forever because she hits like a girl,
So
and
listen.
it would not affect me.
So here's where I am.
Listen, what company is this? Where your vice president makes more than you?
Squire Holdings.
Oh, okay.
So here's where I am on this. And my cousin wrote something on Facebook 2 hours ago, right? And maybe this is where we get down to. He wrote, "If I'm lacking in anything and you love me, teach me. Don't talk about me." So if we take that little kernel and say, well, whether it's a black man or black woman, if there is love for the black man on this side from the black woman, or love for the black woman on this side from the black man, and we find comedy in the shortcomings, right? Such that we put it out there. Instead of doing that, like just work on teaching and not talking about. So I gotta, this is one of those shows where, my perspective around things has been altered tremendously. Because I think that these kernels of things, because we never know, right? Who's on the receiving end of what some people are laughing at, and then it's hurtful to others. So yeah, I got a whole new perspective on it, and so on both sides, maybe maybe we should cease in tearing down and spend more time building up.
Sounds good. So we talked about this already with some regard. Vincent, use your phone. Should illegal immigrants be left out of the critical census count? And there were many people that jumped on and had a comment in regards to this, and I think they missed everything that was being said, and they just focused on the words illegal and immigrants. So let's just quickly debrief people on what the definitions are, so people can stop saying, well, get sidetracked from that. As to an illegal, like an immigrant is a person who comes to live permanently in a foreign country. An illegal means that something has done that has been illegal. It's against the law, something against the law. So you put the two together, you got an immigrant that came to a country illegally, in whatever way they may have come, whether they come over the border, whether they flew in, whether it was an expired visa, whatever it was, they illegally have not obtained documentation to be citizens. So do you think that they should be a part of the critical census count? Trump has been trying to eliminate immigrants from being a part of the count. What are your thoughts, Eric?
So, has he been trying to get all immigrants or illegal immigrants?
All illegal immigrants in every state. He's been going to the courts trying to get the high court to remove them from the critical count.
So let's start off so our listeners and viewers understand. Being a part of the census count does what?
Part of the census counts is how funding is distributed throughout the country, throughout the states, and throughout the cities. So the numbers are used based on the demographics and the number of people in that demographics to determine funding that's given to schools, funding that's given to the fire department, police department, anything that your local government may request. Vincent, mute your phone. Anything that the local government may request from the federal government as aid comes through based off of the numbers in the census.
Right.
Vincent, mute your phone. You're breathing.
So I understand this. I just want to I'm walking through this Q&A just so that when I answer the question.
Before you do, Eric, can I add to that? Also, a part of the census not only includes funding, but it also includes representation. Your Congress and adding additional members to Congress is therefore determined by the amount of people in the population that the census does provide, as well as funding locations, things like housing, etc. It even goes to actual determination of not only police and fire, but county prisons, etc., etc. So it's very important. And go ahead. I'll finish after you.
Right. So now, if we look at all of these things, so now you say you have people here who, if counted, can influence all of that, but these folks are here illegally, and when we say illegally, it means that they have not come here through the proper pathway, right? But they can influence the number of representatives. They can influence the monies that are allocated, right? The question now is, should they be counted so in such a way that they can influence these things? And I say no. Because to count them and to have them influence all of this is to say that we are going to accommodate them, right? Because in the end, to me, it seems that that's what the money would do, right? It would now be used to accommodate in some way folks who are not here according to the law. And if we're a land of laws, then we have to be a land of laws.
So Eric, we briefly talked about this, and your decision was just the opposite. What happened between last night and today?
Well, like I said, I am I'm an anomaly in that if I'm wrong, I'm gonna say I'm wrong, right? So it is through the evaluation of the information that I draw my conclusion. And so I'm intellectually curious. So I'm always interested in hearing more and learning more. And so I may come out on this side in the beginning, but like they say, it's not how you start, it's how you end, right? So this is where I am right now.
If I could, the reason, one of the things for the question is actually understanding the reason, which you find out that, the reason that Trump wants to do it is because of the simple fact that it increases, and he thinks it's increasing for the side of Democrats. But what a lot of people, when you don't hear a lot of Republicans signing on to that, is because it also, what it does is it shoots them in the foot, because a lot of Republicans have been added to Congress because of the census, saying that this representation is up and these guys go up for Congress and they win. That's why he hasn't been getting a lot of it. The other aspect is that you have to look at, besides people being Native Americans, everyone has a genealogy that at some point in time were immigrants in this country. So we now wrestle with the hypocrisy of America. And the worst thing about it was that the Native Americans were the last to actually get approval to vote as well. So it's a political dance. It's a political hotspot from a lame duck president. And I think that
No, wait, Vincent, you just gave like 1,000 words. So here's a question. Very simple question, Vincent. Do you believe that somebody who crawls over a border illegally should be counted in the census?
I believe that somebody who crawls over the border illegally should be counted in the census for this particular reason. for the simple fact of what Diane said and what the census count means. When we do not count them, that means that municipalities and counties now have a shortage in terms of funding, because even though they're illegal immigrants, their children still go to our schools.
Wait a minute, but stop for a second. Okay, I got that. So here's my question to you. So I want you to understand this. So you're saying to taxpayers that we know that these people may come over the border illegally, right? But we need to make provisions for them. That's what you're saying. That they're going to come over the border illegally, and we need to make provisions for them, right? And then we need to pay that.
So you're saying that it's better. It's better.
No, I just asked you a question. I didn't ask for a political response.
No, I'm just trying to get a better understanding of your question.
Well, let me. I'll phrase it in another way. So
No. Let me ask the question, because you're going to phrase it probably in a way in which will still lead me to have questions. So if I could get my question out.
Go ahead, Vincent. Go ahead.
So you're saying that it's better to not count these people, not have funding and provision for them, and when they do, because they do use the services, we should go into a deficit?
No, what I'm suggesting is this: that we need to spend more time, right, sending them back. That that our focus ought not be on providing accommodations for people who are breaking the law. That we need to spend more time understanding and reiterating to people that they are breaking the law, right? But what we're doing is we're spending the time, and I don't want to get into the political wrangling, because on the Democrat side as well as some Republicans too, yeah, they love this, right? They wanna open it up and have more people come and give more stuff to people. I'm saying there needs to be a clear pathway to getting here, and when that pathway is violated, we need to have a zero tolerance for the violation of the clear pathway, not an accommodation for those people. And yes, I said those people. And by those people, I mean those people who are come here illegally. What?
Okay. Now, the actual process of citizenship, yes, I'm with you on that. But what I'm talking about, and my saying yes, had to do a lot with the budgeting and preparedness of government. That's all I'm saying. So that we're talking about two different things. I agree on a simple point that now we're at a level in terms of immigration, in terms of actual population, that people need to come in the legal way. And I was the first one to tell you that the first person that Donald Trump should deport at that particular time was his wife, who was an illegal immigrant. But yet, what I'm also saying to you is the census and the laws do not prepare for that. So one of the things is that people, that if we did stop doing services or actually stop counting them in them, that our counties, our cities would be ill-prepared in terms of funding to accommodate them, which we already do.
So this is what I'm gonna say, and we're at 12 o'clock. But this is what I'm gonna say in the end. If we did that, right, and people started feeling the pain of not being able to accommodate properly, maybe there would be a greater push, right, to have a zero tolerance. See,
I have to agree with that.
Right, but as long as we keep accommodating, nobody's really feeling it, right? So listen, we're at the 12 o'clock hour. Want to thank Deidre. She's always on point with her information. Diane, Vincent, and Jody. Your passion is unmatched, Jody. And it's great. And it's great. It's greatly appreciated. Um, Listen, my brother yesterday was diagnosed with COVID-19. So this is the second member in my family now. My nephew, my cousin. But like I told you, I had countless former schoolmates who passed away in the early months when this thing was, was hitting us. So, I keep saying, look, guys, wear your mask. Conform to social distancing, wash your hands, sanitize as often as you can. This thing is, it's here, and it's going to affect us all in a much much bigger way. They're saying now that the next couple of weeks, the death toll is going to be staggering, staggering. So pray, and stay safe. And like Vincent says, if it's God's will. Oh no, not tomorrow. Tomorrow Eric is off. So Thursday. We'll see you guys Thursday, if it's God's will. Thanks for tuning in.